Go ahead. All righty then. Well, Miss Kelsey said, I'm ready to get into the show. She got so excited. She ready for us to start before the top of the hour. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Miss Kelsey, I'm really excited too about this conversation. We have two fantastic ladies that are ready to give it to you. We have Juanita Brown. I was
Yes.
just tad it up.
It's finna tad
I
all
was
the
for the
way
tad
up.
up. I was for the tad all of it. If you hadn't heard, I'm bad with names. Even when looking at it. Juanita Brown is a dating coach, matchmaker, inspiring, what is it? Innovative, passionate. Okay, those are her 5 words. Choose those words for you.
Um, because not only do I know for myself, but I've also been told those things as well.
Okay, all right. Well, we're gonna dig into why those words you know for yourself.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then we have Christina.
Christian.
Christian. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am. Christian.
Christian. How do you say your last name?
Burroughs.
Burroughs.
Mhm.
Okay. Where's your family line from?
I'm originally from Dallas.
Okay. Okay. So you're from Dallas too. Wasn't you in the Dallas area too as well?
Yes, I'm from Dallas as well.
Okay then. Well, she's a Christian. Okay. What is smiley, kind, determined, and an
Smiling.
educator.
Mhm.
Oh,
I'm a teacher.
So-
I love to smile, that's me.
That's you.
All
That's
right.
what I am.
Okay, then I like this. So you already she's coming with something. They both are.
Mhm.
I cannot.
We played your song not long ago.
Did you hear it?
I smile.
I smile.
Oh,
No,
I
you didn't hear
hear
it.
it. I
Yes.
wasn't even paying attention. That is
Hey, this conversation is really going to be good because I think with relationships, everybody is going to these different apps and they're trying to figure out what is love and find their mate. And my husband and I have been together for years. So when I
It's
spoke,
amazing.
I know. So when I you initially, I was like, oh, how can she tell somebody about love? Show me somebody you can put together. So she did just that. She told me, and I really liked, and they really wanted to hear from a different perspective. Not so much old school. We want to hear from the younger generation. What does it take, and how do y'all view relationships? And just want to talk about it this morning. Are y'all ready for this conversation?
So what is a
Absolutely.
dating coach? What is a dating coach? That's what I want to know.
You
What
know-
you do? You just grab two imperfect people and you can find a way to make them see each other.
Okay. So I would think that would be more along the lines of matchmaking, taking two different people,
Right.
finding their similarities or differences to see if they're able to cope. Here's just one.
Mhm.
As far as a dating coach, I kind of help people discover what it is that they're really looking for
Mhm.
and what it is that they really need
Mhm.
out of a relationship, or what, if it's marriage or just a date or find a best friend.
Mhm.
That's where that coaching aspect come in, because sometimes we think we know what we want, but we
Mhm.
really don't know until someone else points out something different to us.
Oh, uh-huh.
So why did you come up with this? Why did you choose this path? What was it about a dating coach that inspired
Um, to be honest, I think it may have been a calling in a sense. It just comes naturally, being able to, people naturally draw themselves to me. So I can listen well to what they're
Mhm.
telling me or what they're not saying.
Mhm.
And then I think with that, I'm able to match people well.
you? Okay. So, ooh,
That sound too stressful for me.
tell me why that.
I mean, I have a hard enough time just dealing with myself, and you talking
Yeah.
about dealing with other people and helping them to develop a skill within themselves pretty much first. I'm imagining they have to understand who they are as an individual to be able to understand who they want or what they want out of another individual.
Right.
Um,
It can be if you're not, I guess, fit for or open to it. I wouldn't say necessarily fit.
Mhm.
But I definitely believe in work-life balance.
Yeah.
So I have a ton of breaks, a ton of separating other people's problem from my situation at that moment, whatever it is that I'm dealing with.
Mhm.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. I think that should key up where
Absolutely.
Okay. Because a lot of times when we take in a whole bunch of conversation woes, they can
Mhm.
kind of lay on you.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm coming back to this. I actually want to know a little bit more about you why did you choose? Because you're an educator.
Mhm.
And so if you're an educator, well, how did you get to this lady over here? Talk to me.
This is my friend.
Uh-huh.
She's my friend.
She's your
We've
friend.
been knowing each other.
Okay.
She is my friend. So when we started talking, I was originally, when I met her, I didn't have a lot of confidence. I was super quiet, not sure of myself.
I find that hard to look at you.
You know what?
Growth.
So I'm telling you, so many people, like especially family, when I go
Miss
home.
Juanita's methods work then.
Excuse me?
Her methods
I
work.
can't hear you.
Okay.
Her methods work.
Yeah.
Yeah, her methods helping you come into yourself.
Her methods helping me come into
No,
myself
her
with my
methods
husband
work.
and
Okay.
my relationship.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Come on, Kim. You were saying something about so many people don't. You can't hear? Can you hear?
Like when I'm talking, I can't hear. I see y'all's mouth moving when y'all are talking over me.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
So you're not hearing in your ear?
In your headset?
I hear myself more.
Okay.
Is
Well,
it how it's
No,
going
no,
on?
no, 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 not that loud there.
are you
But continue. We're gonna fix you up. No worries.
So go ahead and finish explaining what you're saying. I'm sorry you interrupted. Go ahead. You said so when you first came to her, you were
She was shy.
shy. You
Right.
self-esteem.
Correct. I was shy, low self-esteem. So when I was in the point of my life I was in, when I was trying to, just branch out, I was tired of dealing with the people that I was dealing with. Juanita was my one friend. Okay. Thank you. She is very good at being a friend. And that's what's so good. When she meets new people, she gives you that vibe. Like I'm your friend. I'm going to get to know you. So I love that about Juanita. So that's personal.
All
But
right.
I love that. But that because I was so comfortable with her and around her, when she gave me feedback, like loosen up, Christian. Don't don't be so. She used to always tell me, don't be shy. Kind of straighten up, relax. People are gonna like you because of you. She helped me to come out of my shell a lot.
Oh,
So
wow.
when she was coaching me almost, I like that word. I never really thought about it.
Never thought about it.
But when she was coaching me and like dating and getting close to my husband, that was one of the biggest things. Relax and just kind of be yourself. She would give me tips on like, okay, so when you just trying to relax or it's awkward silence, start telling your funny stories about your kids. You know those classroom stories you tell me?
Yeah.
Just randomly start telling him that. Watch you get comfortable because that's so she used to tell me stuff like that.
Oh,
That's
That's
good.
how she helped me.
That's- so she was coaching you, and you didn't even know she was coaching.
One of the things that I like hearing that really is speaking to me, you said she's my friend. She became your friend because she saw friendliness in you. And you connected to her because she had a heart of compassion. And wow. I think you just told the whole story. And I know when I talked to you over the phone, you just came alive through the phone. So it really showed me that you are a people person. And this conversation is really going to help someone out there. So as we're talking, I'm going to throw a couple of questions at you guys. And those questions are just going to take us to a conversation. Just relax. You got this. Okay, I got this. And remember, we want to help someone out there that may be struggling with the same thing, shy. A lot of times we put on an image that we're confident in ourselves. We got it all together, and we know half the time in our head we're. And so we need someone that can come in and just call us out and say, "Hey." So, would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We really believe some of the stuff that we have allowed to be played over and over in our head. All right, well, I think I'm gonna throw this first question out. In your own words, explain what a soulmate is to you. That's why I'm coming to you.
Soulmate. Oh my gosh, it can mean so many things. I think as far as soulmate, it can vary individual, right? Because everybody has different preferences. But ultimately, it's someone that you connect with, some kind of connection you've never had with anyone else prior. You just instantly click. everything flows. It just feels natural. You may even feel like euphoria. I've known this person all my life, or they give you butterflies time and time again, despite maybe disagreements or days you may just be like, but you still like, oh my gosh, this is my person. It's your person.
So have you met your soulmate?
People grow, seasons change. You meet people and maybe one soulmate, and you may meet another person, maybe a different person for a soulmate. They may serve a different purpose. I do think people can have multiple soulmates.
That was gonna be my question.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna just put a tab and say yes and no, and we'll tab that.
Okay, we'll come back to that. I'm gonna give you that same question,
Christian.
Can you tell me, in your own words, what does a soulmate mean to you?
I cannot. Even sitting here trying to plan out how to eloquently explain what a soulmate is, I could not say this is what a soulmate is, because I'm still figuring that out. Okay. But if I had to answer that question right now in my current season, a soulmate is somebody that just connects with me, somebody that gets me, somebody even on my bad days when I'm trying to be like, I'm so sick of you and I'm just ready to move around. He like, no, we got to keep trying. We got to keep going. That's somebody that just sees me differently, sees me deeper. Like even when I'm sad, when I'm tripping, y'all are not about to make me cry.
But that's
come on, really,
the love and Vicky show. I love that.
So that's my soulmate. Okay. A definition of a soulmate, I'm trying to figure it out.
But I think you defined it very well, because it's what it means to you, and you just clearly said to us what that soulmate is.
Don't you come over here with all that crying.
I know. I'm like, girl, you got makeup on.
But the truth of the matter is, I believe a soulmate don't necessarily have to be someone that you're intimate with. It can also just be like you two can be soulmates because you call her your friend. She gets you, and so that can be. Correct me if I'm wrong, Coach. So,
we
you're on the right track. Yeah. You're on the right track. Keep going.
Okay, so let me tell y'all about Brother Carter. Brother Carter is an unlicensed therapist. He is unlicensed.
I'm an unlicensed pastor. I do everything. I'm an unlicensed analyst. I do everything. I know everything.
Everything.
All right. Let me tell it.
Let him tell it. But would you agree with that too? I like that. That's a good version.
Absolutely. I actually, random story. About a couple of months ago, I had a friend come out to me, and she was having a conversation with her family, and they asked her who her soulmate was, and she said me. And we're like, just became best friends. We've known each other maybe about 4 years now. And so I was like, wow. And like, that's how deeply she cherishes our relationship as friends. And it gives a different perspective. Like, okay, yeah, definitely you can have soulmates and friends because you confide in them just as much you may confide in your partner.
Yes.
I love that.
I love that.
Probably even more.
I just want to add real quick, because as she was saying that, like when I think about all three of my best friends, exactly what I just said, that could define all of them as well. Like even when I'm in my moods, like they will call me like, you over there tripping? Like sometimes you know how your friend can hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
I can think about all three of them and think about times when we've gotten into it and we didn't talk for a long period of time, and then one of us was just like, hey girl, what you doing? Like, so
you can hear
it can't go both ways. So I never thought about it.
You know, you're extremely blessed.
I like that friend aspect.
You like me?
I am.
Yeah. You have a whole 3 people that
that's your soulmate.
I do.
Yeah, that's a blessing.
See, multiple soulmates.
I don't know if my sister counts.
That's another story.
I have one other one for you. If you can recall, who showed you the meaning of unconditional love in your life? Can you recall?
I think unconditional love in my life, parent-child relationship. So, kids, my parents with me, it's a different level of love, I think.
And the reason I'm throwing that out because I'm circle back to relationship. So that's what I wanted to.
Oh,
so with your
yeah.
parents. Okay. Oh, what about you?
I would say the same thing. I number one think about my sister.
Mm-hmm.
She would be first in my book, and then of course, my mom, and then my husband.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be three different aspects of love. I was actually talking about this the other day.
It's something about you brought the right one in here.
Yes.
I love the fact that you are vulnerable but also transparent. And so I see a part of you trying to be shy, but you have, like you said, she's grown so much that you're just not putting on the mask anymore.
Thank you. I'm trying to relax.
So
it's gonna be easy. Trust me, it's gonna be easy.
Just I love the mask is off, and so you just keep walking into the person that you become. It's already there, and so it's coming through in the room.
Yeah.
All right.
So, do you guys have any children? Any kids?
Yes, I have three.
Three kids.
Both of us.
Yeah, we
three
have three.
kids. So when I think of unconditional love, that's a mother and a child. When I think of unconditional love, because you're gonna love your child regardless what's going on in the world, what he or she is doing, no matter how. When I was a young lad, they named me Wishbone. That my auntie said I was so ugly, they wished I was pretty. And so my mother was about that. But my mother kept loving me in spite of all of that. And so when my auntie would tell me that story, and I'll just look at her, I say, "How you like me now?"
Well, I kind of agree too. I disagree. I don't disagree. I guess I can agree and then not agree, because even someone that does not have a kid finds there's someone there that it gives them unconditional love.
Yeah.
And so I would have to kind of agree with the friend, because before you can even get into a mating, having a mate or having a significant other, you have to, I believe, you have to be somewhat. I just believe you have to have had a connection with someone.
What I'm alluding to when we're talking about conditional love, that's a love that no matter what happened in life, and I'm just giving a prime example of what unconditional love could look like, and that's a mother and a child, and that goes even with animals.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody don't protect their little cub like the mama.
That's true. That's true.
We'll call it, man.
No, it's true. Okay, I'm coming right over back.
If you want some of this candy, come call us at Raise the Praise 100 at 346-355-0100. That number again is 346-355-0100. Amen.
Someone calls him while the show is going
And
on.
not call me on my phone.
All right, then. Have you personally ever had a misconception in your relationship?
Misconception?
When you say misconception, what are we alluding to?
Okay, Miss Diana had that question. One of my team members. So what they always do, they throw questions because they want us to answer those questions. And because we're talking about relationships and we're leading up to the relationship, she wanted to know. Diana, go ahead and tell her what you were talking about.
It can be a misconception, as in like you put an expectation on a partner, or you thought somebody told you love was supposed to be some way, and you like went with that thought, but then when it turned out into your real personal life, you were like, that was wrong. You had a misconception.
Oh, there's a ton of those in relationships.
Yes. Can you break that down?
So I'll say with marriage, everyone says marriage is so hard. That first year is this is so bad. This is your test. Blah, blah, blah. You go into the marriage on the edge wearing like, okay, is my marriage going to fall apart first year, because everyone says it's so hard, such a huge adjustment. And in my mind, I would just be like, Only thing difference is we have legal documents now.
Yes.
We've been together, you know.
Yeah.
We just legal documents.
So in other words, what I'm hearing you say is that we get so caught up into the actual going through the ritual of the marriage, we lose focus on just being to your partner, being there for your partner.
Absolutely. You know, just listen to other people and their own experiences.
Yes, putting it over you.
Mhm.
Okay. What about you? You have anything to say?
Yeah, I would actually. Okay, I'm speaking from my experience,
Yes. Okay.
but I might have to say the opposite.
Okay.
That's actually one of the biggest things that me and my husband kind of to go through, because on TV and stuff, they make, you know, relationships and marriage are like, oh my God, we're married and we're doing this thing, you know. It's so fun. But it ain't like that at all. It's hard. So yeah,
How
for
long you
me,
been
I
married?
think I've been married for 5 years.
5
I've been
years.
with my husband for 8 years. We've been married for 5.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a lot of like communicating. We had to talk a lot. And oh my God, fixing attitudes. So
Particularly his, right?
I mean, sometimes it is, you know, but sometimes I'm also
What you say?
I'm also in my ways sometimes. So I just really thought like, okay, when we get married, it's gonna be a piece of cake. And it would. So like I mean from our relationship to our marriage, it seems like the relationship, okay, you know, we can do this. And then that's when it was like, okay, this is kind of hard, easy, like we thought it was gonna be, because we get on each other's nerve, but we have to be married.
And
not have to be like it's forced,
but
but
we're
like
going
you can't just give
through
up.
this. Well, you know, even 43 years we've been together, it's always it's not perfect all the time, and there are times when communication does break down. And I like the fact that you reckon how it goes back to communication, because we as women, we know how to go on mute. We're upset and someone's like us, right?
Absolutely.
Okay? And so when we go on mute and our husband or our significant other is trying to figure out what's wrong, we're on mute. We expect them to just know. We don't want to talk about it, right? So
well, the mute is better than the alternative, though.
No,
see, that just causes more problems. Lack of communication causes more problems.
Yes. What ends up happening is that you go on mute, the other person is feeling, and coach, come on in here and tell me wrong, or talk to me. The other person is feeling like, hey, you don't see me over here, you don't value me, and they're probably feeling rejected. But the person that's on mute is like, they got a whole bunch of emotions going on. So that's a fact, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, the go ahead.
Oh. Well, I was gonna say, you know, as humans, naturally, when we sit in silence, our thoughts rumble. Our thoughts will rumble, and so when there's lack of communication or not communicating at all, you start thinking these different things. Well, what are they thinking? Why aren't they talking to me? Or I'm just gonna treat him this way. I'm not gonna talk to them. You know, whatever be going through your mind, and that creates
mind is
more.
the devil's workshop.
Yes, absolutely. Creates
So
more conflict.
what would you recommend for a person starting to date someone, but they have that habit of kind of when something is off, they go on mute? What would you recommend for them?
So first and foremost, they need to communicate that up front that they have that problem, right? And then they need to decipher, are they going to actively work towards breaking that barrier? Because communication is key with any relationship. So unless they're willing to do the work to break that barrier, it's going to continue to be a problem. So I would definitely recommend figuring out, am I ready to actively change and not withdraw and be open to communicate my problems, or open to receive constructive criticism or whatever may be going on at that time.
Oh, out.
So let me ask a question. When you receive constructive criticism, how does it make that, and we're walking down into what you do, how does it make that person that's coming into who they are and they're still trying to figure that out, should that constructive feedback come from the new person in the relationship, or would it be better coming from an outside source?
I would say both, right? So I'm big on other people seeing in you that you may not see yourself, right? And so from their potential partner, that's who they're potentially trying to be with, right? We date for longevity. It isn't date just. Some people may do that,
Yeah.
but what I do are people to date for marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, so with dating for marriage, you have to be open how your partner's communication style is, how your communication style is, and you guys have to ground, compromise, figure out if we're both having a bad day. Do we take a few hours? Say for instance, someone may say, "I need to go and take a walk real quick." Okay, let that person go take their walk, come back, and then we'll talk. Or the person say, "You know what? I need to go listen to music for a second. Let's come back to this and talk." I think it's just you have to find what works for you and that person,
and really recognizing that person right there at that time may not be the right time for them to have a conversation.
Absolutely.
Because they're not in a good space.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That comes with communication.
So now that we're kind of leading to the relationship a little more, how do you find, or how do they find you, and how do you get to the point that you start to coach their life? They just kind of come to you and say, "Hey,
That's good.
yeah, I'm looking to date. Can you help me? I want someone in my life. Can you?"
Absolutely. So initially, when I started off, I tested out my friends.
Yeah, okay.
And then over the years, people I've met, I'm like, "Hey, you know what? I have someone." They may, be venting to me. Like I said, people come and pour out, and which I have no problem with that. And I may hear something and then think about someone else and match like that. Currently, I do run ads and stuff. People find me. I don't really promote heavy. People come to me. Word of mouth is the best form of advertisement. So yeah, people usually come to me and say, "Hey, Juanita, this is what's going on. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I want to do."
That's what I'm saying. That's new. This whole thing is new for me.
Yeah.
Tell
so
me
this is a
what
business, pretty much what you do, the life
coaching.
the coaching.
Yes, it's called Unlocked Hearts Matchmaking.
Yes. So tell me, how do a person that wants to start dating, or if they even think they need a coaching, how do they find it? What would be that process?
So I tell everyone to set up a consultation.
Okay.
During that consultation, it's about 15 minutes. That's all I need. I find out what it is that they are looking for, whether it is to get more confidence, whether it is to truly date, or maybe they're trying the online dating thing. I offer different services, matchmaking, and I also set up dating products for people to help them weed out the bad apples and start getting to the good apples.
So my question on that is, do you start working with the individual first to make sure and that's in that consultation you're getting the kind of mindset of who that person is, right?
Because it is
right. Exactly. So then you kind of work with that individual before you can start preparing them to get a date.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have to meet. I make everyone do a consultation because again, it's not for everybody. Because I don't want to waste my time. Some people aren't ready to change, and are not open to hearing, "Hey, well, this is what you kind of been doing, and let's try something different so you can go a different route to get better results."
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the fact that the consultation, and you need to know whether or not this person is really looking to get into the dating, or they just want to be a serial dater. Or a complainer or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Then now I'm gonna go a little deeper on it. For a persons who struggle with finding one how do you a person that struggles with trying to find that one person, that soulmate? They have been a serial date or a relationship. It just keeps breaking up and break. How do you help them figure out what's going on in that?
So first I would ask them what they're expecting, what it is that they're looking for, because maybe they have unrealistic expectations. Maybe they haven't found their soulmate because they're looking for a checklist, right?
That's right.
And I think that when you exit out all of that and you just let stuff flow and happen naturally, that's how you discover that you're soulmate or not. It's not a checklist,
it's
right?
Not a checklist, right? It's not. And so when I hear someone say, "Oh, he needs to make this amount of money, he needs to do this, he needs to do that," immediately it sounds like to me that person that's giving that list off is really trying to make somebody else be something that they're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
And what do you say to a person like that? It's kind with that list?
Let's throw out the checklist.
And if they tell you no, I think
They're not ready to work for me.
And you say goodbye. Okay, good.
And
Absolutely.
And they're really not looking for a soulmate. They actually look someone just replace something that they're lacking.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
I knew you.
So,
come on, questions.
Yeah.
You said we shouldn't have a checklist, right? But what's the difference then between a checklist and a standard?
So, okay.
How do we get that boundary?
Okay, that's
good. Good question. I like it. All
really
right. I love
question.
questions like this. Okay. So with the checklist, as I stated, okay, it needs to make. There's a thing going around on social media. I'm not going to date anyone that doesn't make $100,000 a year. It's rare to find people that's making $100,000 a year, and even then, that's a top percentage. You may not even qualify to be up there with them.
But here's the thing: now you're measuring your heart with money,
right?
And there is a price that you're going to pay for wanting someone to do that for you.
You might find somebody that make over $100,000, but he beats you every other day.
Right. That too.
Yeah.
And then
he never come home.
Right. That part too. Yeah.
So.
Okay. And then with the standard, you can say, well, one of my standards is, every Friday night we have date night. Okay, that could be a standard you require in your relationship. Or you may say, I want us to do once a month family game night with your family. That could be a standard. It wouldn't necessarily be a checklist, right? I think a checklist is more of a itemized, materialistic almost situation versus a standard like, hey, this is how I like to be treated. How do you like to be treated? This is how I like to be loved. How do you like to be loved? What's your language? I'm big on love language.
I had a question about that.
Yes.
So we can transition.
Well, Diana, I'm the host. No, I'm just go ahead and ask your question.
My question, so I had this in the back of my mind. This is crazy. Anyways, so my question was, what are the different love languages and how do they correlate?
So there's 5. Add in if I forget: acts of service, touch, physical touch, gifts, words of affirmation, and what's the other one?
I will have to write them down.
Okay, because
I don't know.
Acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, gifts. What's that fifth one?
I don't work like that.
Oh, my bad.
Okay, my mind works.
So when you say acts of service, what does that mean?
Yeah, I love that.
So quality time, because that's one of mine.
Right.
Okay. That's the 5th one. Okay. So acts of service could vary. It depends on what your love language is, right? So for some people, it can be helping with chores, running their bath water. It just depends on what makes them feel, what makes them feel loved, right? That's something they'll have to discuss, their love languages.
Okay.
I love that. But and we're talking about acts of kindness. That's another. Let's break that list down if you had her.
Yeah. Acts of service, physical touch, gifts, quality time.
That's the 5th one.
Oh, words of affirmation, yes.
Because that's my other one. Yeah.
Okay. Can you explain that list right there to just breaking that all the way down for someone that is not here, not really understanding that? Can you?
Absolutely. So acts of service, we stated it can be an act of service, chores, massage,
sexual
bath, whatever
benefits.
That too, and that's for you.
Yes.
Physical touch. That's usually 99% of men's love language. Physical touch, one of them. I haven't met no man yet on earth that physical touch is not one. Of course, touching, whether it can be hand holding, hugs, different things like that. Gifts. Some people like to be gifted different things, whether it's buying me flowers every week or a trip across the country. Quality time, just taking time out of your busy life and spending time with that person. That's one of my love languages. I'm big on quality time. As humans, we're so busy working and just living our day-to-day life. You have to take time out to spend with your significant other. And then words of affirmation. You basically telling that person, hey, I'm proud of you. Hey, you're doing so well. Thank you for doing this to me. Just thanking them. Giving an affirmation like, hey, We may not have seen each other much this week because of work, but you're still on my mind. You're great. You're, just giving them, making them feel assured that they're still important in the relationship.
I love how you broke those down because they go back to the love language. It's so important that your mate and you know each other's love language.
Absolutely.
That is, I can't express how important that is. It's okay to say to them because they may not pick it up. It's okay to say, it's important that you do this. This makes me feel good when you do this for me. And, it may be it may be my shoulder, no, but I think that your needs to know about that. Diana, did that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, Miss Kelsey wanted me to ask, does love have to be an expiration date? Does love have to have an expiration date?
No.
No. That's a straight up
no. Love has no end.
So if you love somebody, just because the relationship, does that mean that you fell up? I mean, you don't love them anymore?
I wouldn't say you don't love them anymore, but you may not be in love with them. Like they may not be the number one factor in your life anymore, but you still have love for them. If they're down, if they need something, pick up the phone, you'll help them out. Okay. Right? That can kind of tie into unconditional love a little bit.
Okay, then. Okay. For a person struggling with
Christian as a Christian, she understands unconditional love. Even in the midst of you disagreeing, you still have a level of compassion for an individual that right. And I guess that boils down to. Go ahead.
Okay. I think I get where you're going, but I also think that even as Christians, sometimes we tend to get to this place. You know what? I love you, but because we have that attitude, I really don't want to deal with you. Do you? You know what I'm saying? Exactly. I can't even put it in words. It has nothing to do with you not loving that person or being in love. It has everything to do with where your state is at.
You're just creating a boundary.
Yes.
Protecting your peace.
Yes. All right. So now, for a person struggling with finding the one, what is the common misconception of finding love?
The common misconception.
Yes.
I think it kind of goes back to my other answer. People have checklists. They have these unrealistic expectations.
Give me one.
$100,000 a year.
So it would be money.
So I'm a part of a lot of different Facebook groups, and there's a group called Black Single Millennial Degree, something like that. Anyway, they're constantly in there talking about how a guy can make about $50,000-$60,000 a year, right? And then the woman may make $80,000 a year. And so they try to pit against each other. Well, she makes more, I can't be with her. I need to be with somebody that's working at McDonald's or something like that. And when it comes to having these conversations, there's so many people that are adamant that situation they're saying that it's wrong to have, or that it can't be something beautiful despite the money aspect. They will never find love. They're going to constantly be single because their mentality isn't open to, they may make a little more money than me, but that's okay. But money isn't all there is to love.
Right. Money is not going to keep them together.
Not at all.
Whether they have it or they don't have it. It has to be something more.
Right.
Well, I believe one of the biggest misconceptions is you grew up seeing love one way. There's a lot of people out there being abused and consider it love. He loved me because he hit me, because he's jealous, so he hit me, and that's love for them. And I think the biggest misconception, in my opinion, is just people not understanding how to love their own self and not knowing what really love is. Until you get a clear understanding of what love is, it's going to be difficult, I think, for a lot of people.
I think
that makes sense to you.
It does.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
the misconception is, as you said, if they don't love starts with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I'm just a firm believer
Absolutely.
how you see love is how you feel about you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm feeling pretty low about myself,
Mhm.
that's how I see love, and that's how I feel love is supposed to
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
You know, a person's supposed
Right.
to
Right.
mean. I mean, so
Because
it's
a
kind
lot of women equate sex with love.
well, not
you
a
know.
lot of women, some women.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women that equate. Not, I ain't saying all women. There are a lot of women that equate sex with love. They believe that having sex means somebody loved them. And so
Well,
let's talk to the younger
So
generation. Let's see.
okay.
I think
Let's go ahead.
I think if along those lines, I think that's where some self-developing comes into
Yes.
play, and they need
Mhm.
to go to therapy.
Yes.
I'm big on therapy as well,
Yes.
Right.
right? Because you need to figure out what's causing those traumas. Why do you
Right.
think sex equates to
To
love,
love.
Mhm.
right? Because it isn't. That's just something extra.
Yeah.
It's actually not, and that's what
But
I hear.
that's what I'm talking about, a misconception.
Yeah,
That's what they
yeah,
perceive to
yeah.
be love. And not just women, it's men both. And you don't know
Absolutely.
what happened in people's lives to why they do what they do. A lot of people, you don't know what they've done, what they've gone through life, and so they become
A part of their
a
environment. and
part
they
of what
come-
what they have until they learn to do different. They tend to do what they know.
Yes.
Did that make sense?
But I think it's a choice still.
But again, I have to agree with you. It is a choice because it's so they're doing those things because that's how they feel about them. That's their worth. Well, what was it? Worth.
Mm.
That's how they see themselves.
Right.
And, you know, even when I hear, it's funny we're having this conversation because this conversation came up during this week on my travel, and they were talking. This young lady was talking about, I'm in a relationship, but it's not a committed relationship. We're not like calling ourselves boyfriend, friend, or anything. But I said, well, ask a question. Do you sleep with? Yeah. I said, so you're gonna give yourself to someone, and you're not even committed, and he's not committed to you.
Mm-hmm.
And the response was, what does that have to do with? I mean, it's just sex. And so I just was speechless because I think a lot of times the way some of the younger generation value that piece. As a coach, is that something you've experienced or you would be able to help? I was speechless. I mean, I just didn't know what to say.
Right, absolutely. Well, that's why that consultation is so important because I ask a whole bunch of different questions. And a lot of people do have that mentality. Oh, sex is just sex. And it's like,
no, it's not.
No, because there's a lot of emotions, a lot of stuff they go into. So no.
No, you shouldn't be.
Right.
Would you say that it's okay, or what would you
No.
say to a person that's just like?
They're adults; they can make their decision. But as far as truly trying to find, truly trying to find love, I wouldn't recommend just a sex relationship, no commitment, no, because it won't go anywhere. Okay. A lot of men say, if I can get this for free, without the title, why do I need to even go any further?
And on that note, let's prepare ourselves for a pause for the cause, and we'll be right back. So we have Juanita here with us right now, and we're going to continue this candid conversation, which we are having about call. What is it? That's the name of the show.
When love calls.
When love is calling your name.
All
right.
Okay.
So we have Diana. Diana wants to ask you a question.
So my question is, I love how we were talking about how money should be involved in a relationship, but why do you think it is that money is a big factor in a divorce? Why do you think that is?
So, statistically, they say finances is the number one reason why people divorce, right? I think it correlates more so along the lines of managing money. Transparency, part of the reason for my divorce many years ago had something to do with finances, but it wasn't because of how much money he made or I made. It was just how the money was managed. And then lying about where money was on, or not being fully honest, that you're supposed to be within a marriage on this is where money went here, this money went there. I think that when people divorce due to finances, it's a deeper root cause. It doesn't have anything to do with how much money they make a year. But I think society has turned it into something that, oh, well, since they don't make $50,000 a year and I make 80, oh, we're not compatible. We're going to divorce if we don't make the same amount of money. It has nothing to do with that at all.
But at the end of the day, most marriages, a lot of marriages, should I say, he has his money, she has her money. It's not actually a collective effort of money. It's not like the old days when the money just went to the pot, and then that's how.
But there should be a pot.
That's the way it should be. So speak to that. Speak to those that have their own individual bank account and being married and not able to share, should I say.
So I think if you're not able to be a team, because marriage is, you're being a team, that's your partner, right? You may not need to get married, right? As far as money goes, you guys have to have that conversation how you manage finances. I mean, that's very important. That's one of the top things I also tell people. You don't want to fall into, they say the statistics, with being divorced because of finances. Okay, are we going to have a shared account? So we're both going to put money as the bills in this account, and then you save your money for vacations, or our money for stuff for the kid. You guys have to come up with what it is you're going to do with your money. But I definitely think there should be some kind of pot or collective to weed out a lot of those financial burdens or issues that may arise.
Okay, so that's like I said, my money. Speaking as a man, my money is our money. Your money is your money.
If that's what you do in your relationship, then that's what works out.
and that's what happened in a lot of households, because let's face it, women are very independent these days, and women are really making all the breadwinners, should I say, in a lot of households.
But it's by choice.
There you go.
What you mean by choice?
Come on now, go with it. There you go.
So I think that a lot of women have been placed in a position to be independent. Women don't want to be independent.
No.
I can tell you, we don't want to be independent.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, we rise to the cause.
Right.
That's just how we're equipped. We're equipped to be the one to hold the glue, to hold everything together, to bring everything to make something happen out of nothing, right? So unfortunately, again, women are placed in that position, and they just have to play their role until someone comes along and say, hey, baby, I got this. Let me take care of that.
And I'm glad you went there, because it's always this misconception that women want to just go, or they're the bigger. Because sometimes I think men tend to get comfortable because we put ourselves out like we all together. I can handle it. So what we end up doing is giving that man that mixed signal. Well, if you don't need me and you got it, then go and get it. But the man gets comfortable with that, and then you're tired. And so now we want them to come on and get back ready.
So just let me roll then and stop taking over every time, Val. That's what I be trying to roll. You want to take over everything. So
that's good. Kelsey, you had a question? Okay, y'all can ask. Don't get shy, Diana, over there. I was just messing with you. You had something you wanted to say?
She asked the question.
Oh,
That was the money. I asked, why is money so important?
Why is it important?
We said why, because we were talking about earlier, it was about money, right? How that doesn't matter really. But then we have divorce rates that say finances, and she was kind of explaining to us the difference between managing money and money in general. Because the reason why I have divorce is because of management of money, not because of there no being money.
And also, you have to understand, when you first start off in a marriage as a young person, you don't judge yourself where you are at that moment to where you want to be. Because if you stick in there, if you hang in there, that time is going to come if you stay together. because when we started off,
Don't tell
we,
the truth.
we
Oh,
I had to ride bicycles and walk and all this kind of stuff to work. But we married with 2 kids, and living in an apartment. They had to live on the 3rd floor, the cheapest one,
Yes.
So there's struggles in life when you
Right.
when you first start off as a young person. So don't get caught up in if I can leave you with anything. Don't get caught up in where you are. Get caught up in where you want to be.
Absolutely.
And if you focus on that, then life will get better for you.
I think also, so we do have an expert in here, but I'm
I know I'm the
not-
expert. Do you
No,
know?
you're the
Oh.
unlicensed expert. I do think that a lot of times in relationships, first of all, I want to thank you guys for keeping the show going while we stepped
Absolutely.
out and kind of had our hallelujah good time out there. But thank you again. That was a great question. But I do think when you start off in a relationship, it also starts off by other people's perception of what a relationship should look like, or theirs, or their failed relationship, and you bring all that baggage in. I think, and even I did, even he did. His mother and father were, I think,
Divorced
early in his life, and then I had my mother and father in the house. However, my mother was always working. You get what I'm saying? And my dad, not that he didn't work, but he just cool, And so you come from different perspectives of marriage, and you bring that I call brokenness into something you're trying to build, and it's going to take time to clear all that crap out and figure out this thing is going to work.
And that works for all marriages, because all marriages come from different upbringings. So
absolutely.
So I'm gonna leave that back in the hands
So
of
right back to
the licensed professionals.
Yeah, so back to that again. On that segue, from that segue, would you say that looking at someone based off of where they are at that particular time, connecting with them in a relationship what should a woman look for when she starts? I can't even imagine I have to date it. What should a woman look for when dating?
So again, I think that's preference, right? Because we all can't look for the same things, right? We can have a baseline of what we may want or, look for in a potential partner. I may want someone who's outgoing, bubbly, tells jokes. Someone else may want someone who's reserved, who likes to be a homebody, who may not want to do much. So I think it's preference as far as what to look for. I think it depends on where you are in that time in your life.
What should be
dating.
Red flags if you're dating?
Personal preference. So red flags for me. I always ask people how they handle stress. If you can't answer that question, there's not much more we can talk about, right? I also ask people about therapy.
So you're asking, when you say you ask people, you're asking someone that you're looking
that
to
I'm
date.
Potentially looking to date.
Okay.
First few conversations, right? First few conversations can tell you a lot about that person, what they're looking for, what you're looking for. You can kind of weed out time, right? Because time is of essence.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing you say is just be straight up.
Absolutely.
Have a
transparency.
Transparent
Absolutely.
But she mentioned, how do you handle stress? So the way people handle stress give you a clear indication of whether you can help them or not.
No, she's talking about her dating.
Not whether or not I can help them, because they have to be able to help themselves, right? It gives me an idea of how they're going to handle if we're in a relationship together and we're having problems or something's going on, they had a bad day at work. How are they going to handle that stress? Are they going to come home and take it out on me? Or are they going to take it out on the kids? Or how do they deal with stress?
So what you're saying is that you need to ask those questions. That's a good question.
Absolutely.
How do you deal with stress? Because they may be a person that just bottle it up.
Right. And then explode later. You kind of have to know, like, they handle anger, like, that's important things. That's how you can kind of determine, this is a person I could potentially see myself with down the line.
So if someone says to you, well, I usually, if I get upset, I just walk away, what would you say to that person?
I'll say, okay, so how long is your walk away process? Is it like a few minutes? Is it a few hours? Is it a few days? Right? Because I'm the type of person, it doesn't take days to cool down.
Yes.
And if it takes days, that's a problem.
Okay.
He can be like my deceased cousin and just his walk away is go get a pack of cigarettes and don't come back.
See, we don't want people like that. We want to weed those out.
and this is a process to do that.
Absolutely.
You have to upfront
Absolutely.
when dating. So, so this young lady that I was talking to, it would have been a good question for me to ask her. Have you had the conversations with guys?
Mhm.
If you know, what's your intent? Do you plan on being in a long-term relationship, or do you just want to have
Right.
And so you're dependent on the individual to be honest with you at the time, huh?
Well, you can pick up if they're lying.
Yeah, because most of the time the individual is going to give you the best of them they can give you.
So
Until we get to
right.
Go ahead, Doc.
So with dating these days, it's different, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people are putting on personas of what they're really
Yes.
not, like you're saying, right? So what I consciously do, and I kind of tell people to kind of do, especially women, men like to conform, and this is no dig at men out there. I'm not a man basher, but men will conform to whatever you tell them in that moment just to get whatever their end goal may be. Okay. So I tell women when men ask, looking for, don't answer it, let them answer first.
Yes.
Because they'll usually try to be whatever it is you say temporarily to get what it is they want in that moment.
Good. Wow. Can you say that one more time?
Doc. Thank you, Doc,
For the ones
saying,
in the back.
wait. Thank you Doc, for saying the same thing I just said. All right.
For the people in the back of the room, can you repeat what
Absolutely. So, when you can feel
That's
like you have to
good,
repeat.
You say, what did I just say?
Yeah. When it's so good. Hey, what did I say?
So you have to go to the recording.
the reason I'm actually that's really true. You don't need to just, because what you said was, if they ask you a question, what is it you want to get out of it? You said, don't answer the question.
Yeah.
You said, just kind of fall back and let them
What
do
you
it.
want in a man, and he listening,
because it's exactly what they're about to conform.
Until they get what they want,
and the true colors come out. I always say time tells all. Time tells all.
So this dating thing,
I've been married. I'm sorry, baby. I've been married for 3 years. Been with this woman 43 years, and I can truly say she still.
You can say it. Say
It's still at points I don't know who is this woman.
Well, because
I say to myself, because when you think you know somebody, they
they evolve.
Things change.
Yeah.
We're constantly growing and evolving.
Things change.
That's not a bad thing for you to say, but that's a good thing for an individual. Any individual that is not evolving have given up. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. The way I see it, has given up on this thing called moving forward.
Right.
You have to evolve. You have to see something and want to be something for yourself.
Right.
My involvement comes because, and I appreciate you saying that. You don't even know how much I appreciate you saying that, because I constantly want to evolve, because I never want to be where I was.
Absolutely.
And you understand, where I was just a very dark place, and a lot of people didn't know it. They just knew what I showed them. And so I will continue the rest of my life evolving, because I don't want to be that place. I'm sorry, don't get me there.
All right. That's Sister Evolve right there.
I always tell people you never want to be in the same place you was a year before.
You don't. And some people don't get that, because you become, and honestly, when you're sitting in that for so long, you get depressed.
Yep.
I mean, literally. So I'm sorry. I just.
Oh no. Good.
Okay. What have you learned about love since enduring this journey? That's for you.
We haven't heard from Christian in a minute.
What have I loved? The biggest thing is patience. In my unmarried, or I guess single do I say single or unmarried? In my single life, I suppose. I was very impatient. I can think about so many other guys where like the first thing, all right, get out of my face.
Bye, boy.
Exactly. So that's very much so how I am. So I'm just having to learn to be patient, like both of y'all have said so many times. Like, we kind of go through ups and downs, and we gotta tough it out. It's just a little phase, and that's what a lot of older people in my life have been telling me also. That are going through the same thing, like. It's okay. It's just, it's a tough period. We all go through it. And this is just going to make it that much easier for the next phase in life because y'all going to know that y'all got each other back and y'all through it. So that's the biggest thing that I've learned is just be patient and to communicate, like we've all said, talking it out. Even earlier, I wanted to add in, I just didn't want to jump in there. We were talking about like communication. So with communicating with my husband, he learned I'm one of those people. Like when I get angry, I have to process it because if I don't, it's not gonna be pretty when it comes out.
So when you get angry, you really communicate.
So we I first had to learn like, okay, so writing is my thing. Writing works for me. So it's times when I'm like super duper angry. My husband, he will give me my time. Like, okay. Let me write what I have to say because that's the only way it's gonna come out.
That is good.
That's the only way it's gonna come out.
That's good.
Or nice. So being patient with myself and my husband and our relationship. And
that's tremendous growth on your behalf. Recognizing, most people don't recognize their faults in life. And they continue in that way. And so to be able to recognize it is speak volumes about you. So I commend you.
I think also you said something about figuring out how to deal with when you get worked up and you get angry, understanding about writing it down. You chose to write it down. Somebody else's that may be listening or sitting here in the room may choose to just kind of step away and go sit in there's, I'll just say backyard. You have to figure out what gives you that relaxation so you can come down versus engaging at that time.
Right.
So,
Right.
all right.
And fellas, I'm gonna just put this disclaimer out there. I got two disclaimers. Women are emotional beings by nature. Period. So, as a man, when your woman is getting emotional about a conversation, take it easy. Take a step back. Give her time to breathe. Give her time to process, and then it'll be okay in a minute after a while. So just give her that time. I also want to put this disclaimer out there. You was talking about something else about patient. I want this disclaimer out there for those that are listening. If your spouse is physically abusive to you, that's something you don't have to sit back and be patient with.
Right.
Those things, a lot of people, I'm not going to get on the horse wagon on this too long, but a lot of people ending up dead today because of what is it called?
Abuse?
Domestic
violence. That's the one I'm looking. Thank you, baby. Thank you. That's the one I'm looking for. And so it's happening. It's happening rapidly in America. So if if you're in a situation like that, it may not change. I'm a firm believer. If a guy said, "If I can't have you, nobody will," believe that.
People like that don't change.
They don't change, and I appreciate you saying that because a lot of times, again, you're bringing in what your perception and what someone else's perception is of a relationship and marriage. From my generation, when I say born in the 60s, and so watching my parents come up, they stayed in relationships no matter what, even though it was abuse going on. So women that grew up in that, saying, well, I got to stick together because they stuck it out. And so the mindset can be, well, she didn't leave, so I need to leave. And I'm glad you said what I feel, and I think the most important thing, abuse at any level, whether it's verbal, whether it's physical, you don't have to stay in that. I don't believe in telling someone to walk away from their marriage. That's your choice. But I do believe in telling someone to get out if you're being abused.
Right.
Period.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'll lead us to the coast, and we took this conversation
that's why I say that's a disclaimer.
I love that. No, that was good.
I agree with it
because we're talking about relationships, and if someone is, even if they're not married and they're dating,
right,
or they're cohabitating together, if there is abuse going on, don't try to stay in that, saying we're going to work through that.
Well, back in the old days, the older women would say, that man is just being a man. Just stick in there with him. He gone out all night long, cheating and all this kind of stuff.
Betty White, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
I was thinking in the past the 2000s, we left that type of thinking back there.
Yeah. And so that's good. And
we're not doing it.
We're not.
Yeah. Not. So let me ask a question. So how do you guys deal with, or how would you ask someone to deal with a volatile relationship?
I put this as a disclaimer. I didn't mean this to be
but that's good, because that's a relationship.
So I think we also have to recognize abuse comes in all forms, not just physical. There is emotional abuse, verbal abuse, right? Any type of abuse in any of those lanes, and if you're feeling like they're constantly downing you, or physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever, figure out what it is that you want, right? Because if you're not ready to leave, it doesn't matter what anyone says to you, you're going to continue that cycle, right? And as much as we tell people, get out of that situation, get out, move around, they won't, they have to find it within themselves, right? When I first started, just a transparency moment, early year in college, my first daughter was born. I was with someone that was abusive, and it took a while. My friends used to tell me, Juanita, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I want a family. I didn't see myself as a single mother ever. I'm like, I wasn't designed to be that. Why would I do that? We're going to make it work. It's going to be fine, right? But it took despite, the physical aspect of it, my breaking point was when me and my daughter, stuff was being put out by him and his friends. In that moment, I woke up, something clicked. And it was at that moment, it was like, you know what? You don't deserve this. You got so much going for yourself. Move around. What are you dealing with this for? This is nonsense. And I think until people have that aha moment, that wake up moment, they won't ever get out.
Right. Because that's just
key.
That's I really like what you're saying there. But you can still be there for that person.
Absolutely, because they'll need that support.
How did your friends help you, or did they help you by, even while you're in that situation, they're knowing that you're in an abusive situation? How did they help you just to keep your sanity, to be able to take care of your child, because you weren't ready to go?
Just being there, just being a listening ear for me, or opening the door. Hey, come over here for a little while. You don't have to be there. Bring the kids. Let's go do something. Just being that support, even though I was, taking the support, but I knew I wasn't ready to leave the situation yet. But just knowing that they were there to help, helped a lot. So even if those people, don't listen to you, whatever, keep trying, because eventually the voices in the back of their head are going to hear, okay, you know what, I can leave this because I know my friend here's for me, or I have this family member here for me that can help me out of this.
So would you say that hearing the words that they would say to you, like, hey girl, you don't need this, you don't have to put up with that, even though you weren't ready to leave, do you feel like that was the positive that gave you strength as you built up to get there, because they were talking to you like, hey, you don't
absolutely, and then I had to find it within myself.
Okay,
I had to figure out how I was going to get out.
Being negative. What you want to say?
Come on, Chris. Come on, chime in.
Yeah, no, just go
jump
in there. Go ahead.
Just jump in.
Jump in there.
I also want to say, just because I've been a friend in two situations, I think it also helps when my friend is not constantly like, "Girl, you so stupid. Why you still over there?
Right.
Why you do-"
Yeah.
like more being helpful,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
reminding her you don't got to be there. You know, like you can come over here anytime you need. I'm here, okay?
Mhm.
But you want to go do something with
Yeah.
what's happening? Like trying to just
Yeah.
let you know I'm here. You can
Be
trust
supportive.
me. Like
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
I'm not
Right.
gonna add to
Right.
you because sometimes if a girl feels in that conflict, like he over here doing whatever he doing to me and this my friend, but I don't want to call her because I don't want her to be calling
She
me
gonna do the same
stupid. I
thing
don't
he
want her to-
doing.
You know,
Yeah.
like exactly. So you don't want to
Yeah.
make them feel like stuck in that spot. So
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Right.
good.
Yeah.
That is good.
That's
Right.
real good advice.
Mhm.
And I
Absolutely.
appreciate you being transparent there because
Mhm.
with you being transparent about where you came from is definitely there to help someone else. So once you got
Absolutely.
out of that relationship,
Mhm.
did that help you to see yourself different in dating or
Absolutely.
okay.
I can say that probably was a turning point in my life. Just realizing, you know, you don't have to have what society makes it seem like you have to put up with, or you have to have the dynamic. It's okay. It happens, right?
Mhm.
And you take your lesson and you become better.
Mhm.
So I'm big on taking things that may have happened to me and making something better from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called growing up.
That too.
Yeah, because when you're a child, you accept things because you're in a childlike
Mhm.
frame of thought.
Mhm.
And, you know, like Paul said in the Bible, when I was a child, I understood as a child.
Mhm.
I spoke as a child, and I acted like a child. And when I became a man, I put those childish things away.
Mhm.
And so people, like you guys mentioned the word evolving
Mhm.
often. And many times we have to evolve as human beings to know what we don't have to accept
Right.
anymore, because that's what I did when I was a young
Mhm.
lad. I'm a grown person now. I ain't gotta take that no more.
Miss Kelsey had a question that she wanted to ask, and I'm going to allow her to ask this question. Go ahead, Kelsey, and we'll try to answer it for you.
Okay. So my question is, what advice would you give someone who is looking to find their soulmate?
Oh,
Okay,
See, they
couple
come
of
for you,
things.
huh?
First, throw away any checklist you have. Okay, let's do that. Secondly, determine what it is that you really want. Are you sure you're ready for a soulmate? Are you sure you're willing to do the work to compromise and change, if need be, in order to meet that better half, right? Third, be open. Definitely be open minded. You may have been used to maybe dating men that are only police officers, or you may be used to dating women who were only teachers. Be open to dating different people. I would say definitely those top three things just to get the basis of starting to the process of trying to find a soulmate.
she said dating, not sleeping.
Okay.
Dating,
Without sex.
not
Sex
sleeping.
misconstrues
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. You just said something that's so key. You said dating. Can you just break down what does dating look like and what is dating?
So my term and the terminology they use these days, there's like talking, dating,
Yeah.
exclusive, committed. Yeah, it's so many topics. It's crazy. Dating, I believe dating, you and that person getting to know each other, you spend time together, you hang out. You're trying to figure out what it is that you two are going, you know, which direction are we going to try to build something long term for marriage, or we're just filling each other out. I think dating doesn't have a time frame, and the reason why I say this is because I had a professor in college tell me he married his wife after 6 months, right? And he said people would talk about him crazy. I always remember this and reference it so much, that people date to hate each other, right? And so I think when people put stipulations on dating, that's where issues arise. So definitely no time frame with it. You know, date to get to know the person. It's all about time. Time.
Can I get Diane to read one of the
Question.
question?
Donna, you want to read a question that came through?
Miss Sonia Smith. Miss Sonia Smith is on.
And she
We
asked,
want to. Hello, Sonia. Thank you for listening to the Love and Victory Show with Val.
Miss Sonia was just letting us know that support from true friends and family is just the best support that you could ever have.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know, thank you, Sonia, for chiming in. You're exactly right. As the panelists have just said here, you know, this the support. You know, sometimes it's not trying to tell you what to do. It's just
Right.
letting you know when you're ready to make that leap. We're there.
I'm
with
here for you.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk about soulmate again, because something keep on popping in my head. Because actually, I'm a firm believer you don't go to find a soulmate. A soulmate will just come to you,
Find you.
and y'all
Mhm.
find each other. Talk to me about that. Is that
I mean, that
is
can
that
happen in
some
dating.
is there some reality to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, um, if you have to put a definition on soulmate, it's someone you click with instantly. You feel like you've known them forever. It's just something
Mhm.
about them is so different than anyone you've ever met before, right?
Okay.
So dating, you are looking, right? So you are going to go through different people, but I wouldn't say necessarily each person, oh, are they my soulmate? Are they my soulmate?
Okay.
No, never go with that mentality.
Mhm.
Just let it
Mhm.
happen naturally,
Yeah.
organically.
And
Okay.
that goes back to what you're
Mhm.
saying. You're naming the three things.
Yeah.
Just be open. Just
Absolutely.
be open. Now, the Kelsey, you were over there saying something about the names that y'all call dating and other things. What is that?
Oh, I said situationships.
Oh, okay. Can
Situationships.
you explain to me?
Stay away from those.
What does that mean? Tell me what that means, because I've never.
What the
I'ma
Sam
be
Hill
honest,
is a
I don't really know
situation.
I don't know what
So
the
what,
definition.
I know what when they say that. What do they mean by that?
When
Your
they don't have a
generation.
title of what their relationship is, like they're not ready to like probably move on into that next step, so they just call it a situationship. Like we're just
Just kicking it.
More than likely sleeping around.
probably
Yeah.
most likely.
So again,
Yeah.
what you
We're
saying?
just hanging out.
And
Mhm.
so, and I guess the thing is, it's just ours. Is anyone talking to them? You know, but where are they getting their information
Social
from?
media.
Social media.
Mhm.
That is okay.
Now, my question would be to the young people. We have some young ladies on the show. Now, when you're in a situational relationship, do as a female, do you grow feelings? Do you be catching feelings like they said on the show? There, catching feelings.
9 times out of 10.
It depends on the person, honestly. Like I've actually heard from people for it the way she said it, everything different people like different things,
Right.
Mhm.
and it depends on what you know. So if you're comfortable with not having an actual relationship with somebody, if that's good for you, I guess that's good for you.
So
If
you
you're
can
not-
actually be intimate with an individual and not catch feelings.
No.
I don't think
No.
I think you can in the beginning,
I think
but
No.
at the end somebody develops
Yeah.
feelings.
That's
Okay. So
okay. We're
you
gonna
have
go
to-
to
This
the.
opinion.
Okay,
'cause
so
no.
we ready for me? Now we're gonna hear from the
Hello,
older. Tell
Christian.
me, come on, give it to us. Oh yeah, you.
But that seemed difficult to me.
Well, we want to see from the other perspective. We're gonna come back with our perspective.
Okay, so I know that
Woosah.
I think that I am pretty aware of myself because I stay in my head a lot. I overthink way too much. So I know that I don't have a healthy relationship with sex. But I can say that there are times in my life where I was having sex with somebody and like when it was over, it was just over. I didn't feel
You didn't catch no feelings or
I
nothing.
didn't.
Well, you
I can
know,
think about a few people where it was like, yeah, it was fun.
But that really.
you know what? I told y'all it was something about.
Y'all remember when I
that-
said that?
That's okay for being honest.
no.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
it's good. You know, it's nothing wrong with what you're saying. But again, that's situational, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that buys into a lot of what the young men are doing today. Also. No, I'm gonna stay out of that one.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna go. Go ahead. Go ahead.
They're probably the saying, I still think it's true. Men will do what you allow them to do.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
So until women really start Value. Whew,
I'm
there we
sorry.
go.
I'm
Valuing
sorry.
themselves enough to close off.
Yes.
Men are going to continue to approach women in a way of thinking, oh, situationship is fine. No title is fine.
Yes.
I can get all the benefits without this, without having to marry you or anything like that.
And it goes back to and even when I hear this, I don't care what you say. Don't come tell me you got yourself together when it's okay for you to be in a situational,
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna lay with you. Even when you said you didn't catch feelings, you was in a different place than you are today.
Oh, facts.
You
And
see
that
what
was
I'm
like
saying?
college.
Yeah, but I get it. What I'm saying
She
is
was a child. She did things as a
no,
child.
I get that, but I'm saying at that place, you probably wasn't at your best because if I look at you today and the woman that you've become, there is absolutely no way, whether you are married or not, that you would be still doing this.
Oh, absolutely.
You
not.
get what I'm
Yes,
saying?
no,
Because you had
absolutely
to
not.
evolve into who you
Right.
are.
Yes,
Right.
I'm just saying I can identify with
Mhm.
someone that's in a situationship. I'm
Yes.
just saying I feel them.
No,
That's
and I,
yes.
but that's before you really start. And you,
Oh, absolutely. And see, that was in the time where, like we're
Yes.
all saying,
Yes.
where I had to be coached. Like I wasn't confident in myself. I
Yes.
was like,
Mhm.
so it does all play a part.
And
Yes,
that's what
See, one thing this what gets me about older people, and I'm in that category, but I'm one of the ones that don't forget what I did as a youngster. Too often, older people they want to tell you what you doing as a young person is so wrong, but they was doing the same thing when they were
Right.
young.
Right.
And so I would say to the older people, stop it. You did it too. So stop acting like you so holy
Yeah,
and
it's
you
so
and you got it so together
Right.
that you did. I never done anything like. Yes,
Right.
you have,
Right.
and probably
more.
worse. Okay,
You know?
so let the church say amen.
Well, we
All
gotta
right.
take a quick break. I know Miss Kelsey gonna cue us up, but before we go on the break, I'm gonna put one question out there, and this question is for you. When you looked at yourself and you said, "You know what? I deserve more." When was that, and what caused you to see and come to that place?
That's for Juanita or
That's
Christian.
for one.
Christian.
Christian, I'm sorry,
Right.
Christian. Christian, I'm so sorry. I want when we come back, I want you to come. I want you to explain that because I think there's someone out there that is really needing to hear that because
Okay.
they're in that place.
Yeah.
All right, come on,
We
man.
are back with the Love and Victory Show. I hope you guys are enjoying this conversation as much as I'm enjoying it. I have two wonderful ladies that are being so transparent. And before we left, I asked Kristen I asked her a question.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want her to come back and just let us know, when did she finally know that? Just answer the question.
Yeah. Answer the question.
Yeah.
I guess I've been trying. I can't think of an exact like an exact moment, but I can remember that when this is so crazy. One time, this might be too tense.
No, just go there.
Okay, so one time my husband and I were about to, get intimate. And I can't remember how or why we started talking about this, but I said something like, "Oh yeah, it's just sex." And he kind of started telling me like, "Well, but what about making love?" So he kind of like in that moment just brought up to me like sex and making love. Like sex is just like we just have sex, but making love is like more intimate. You need to be like
Connection.
into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that was kind of the first point when I realized like I have not been intimate. I haven't been, into what am I trying to say? Let me find
Were
the right words.
were you valuing yourself before, or
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I wasn't valuing myself or the person that I was with. So I wasn't we weren't connecting. So that therefore it wasn't turning into intimacy. And I didn't realize like I was missing that connection and I needed that intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
So I can remember that conversation and my husband kind of being the first person to, just kind of bring that up to me. And then the journey just continued of just me starting to love myself more.
I need to hear you say that.
Yeah, I can't relate it to
a specific
moment or a person. I can remember. I don't know why I'm acting like a crybaby this
That's
morning.
okay.
It's okay. Let it out.
Let it
I
out.
remember this period in my life when I was pregnant with my second baby. He's 4 now. I was pregnant with him. It was actually, I guess, a little bit before that. But anyway, I started getting really close to God. That was when I first started just like spending time in his presence, being close to him and that type of thing. So I really, it was more internal for me when I started to realize just all that I was almost. I know that sounds so broad, but that's really what it was. I just started to see like,
So
you got
what,
something.
So what I'm hearing you say, and listening on this side, it's really when you kind of step back, you allow God in because He was always there. You allowed Him in, and then you allowed Him to really manifest Himself in you. You were able to see that, you know what?
Yeah.
I deserve more.
Right. And I just naturally kind of started to change. And my desire and my standard, she asked that question earlier about a standard. My standard kind of changed, for myself. And that, of course, that it just changed. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Wow. You being so open and honest, I know that you just helped someone. And when I think about the younger generation, they're saying that. And again, I'm not talking down to them because we all been there, and I'm definitely my listeners know that I'm an open book. And so what I'm saying is that there is a point in your life where you have to kind of fall back and stop saying that, oh, I'm good with myself. I'm good. It doesn't matter. I got self-confidence. No, when you're doing things to devalue you, that's not about confidence. That's not about self-respect.
Yes. And I just wanted to add that I know for myself, it was almost like I didn't realize. I didn't have somebody, like I think about this all the time. When I was a young girl, I didn't have a role model that was talking to me about those type of things. Excuse me. So I can just remember in this crazy point of my life when I just felt like, man, everything's going so crazy. I don't got no guidance. I don't have anything. And like you said, God was there the whole time. He just used that point in my life to kind of pull it out of me.
Amen.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're talking about love making, intimacy, should I say, and sex, and the difference between the two.
Yes. So sex is what those situational
Right. That's what I was doing in my situationship. Just feeling good. It was just about my flesh. I know that vocabulary now, but at the time I didn't. Now I know I was just feeding my flesh. That's why I didn't care. That's why I wasn't intimate. He was just making my body feel good. So yeah. Sorry.
Wow. No, it's okay.
That's
good. Let me tell you something. You're not saying anything wrong when you're speaking the truth.
This is a candid conversation.
You're literally helping someone because if you overcame this, you're able to go through, then so can they. And it doesn't have an age on it. There's some old hags like myself. I don't mean hags, but there's some older women that are still in that mindset. And until you get through it, about respecting yourself and requiring more of someone. It's okay to say, if I'm going to be with you, you're going to be with me. You have to honor me. You have to respect me. And it's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And this is my disclaimer. Intimacy don't start in the bed.
Okay.
Intimacy begins yesterday, day before. The walks to the park, the holding of hands, the rubbing of the back and the massage and and telling you how beautiful you are.
Grilling that fish
Yes.
like I like
Yeah,
it.
Go to
Those
the
things-
backyard and grill
yeah,
them, grill them.
those,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
So
those-
that's the intimacy part of it, and that
Right.
when you get to bed, then you can be intimate
Yes.
because you have
that
been
foreplay
that.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I know y'all. We going there on that, but that's.
I'm unlicensed, but I carry a lot of titles. But
We told y'all that earlier on. I really want to ask this question of you.
Mhm.
So to have someone, if she wasn't your friend, that walked in that same state, what advice would you give to, or that's in that same state? What advice would you give to them, older person? What advice would you give them?
First and foremost, I ask them, are they ready to do the work, right? Because if your mind isn't right within yourself, it can't be right to bring another person in to form a relationship. So at that point, I'll ask them like, hey, are you already in therapy or anything? Because I'm not a therapist. I just help with dating. To see if they're open to that, because there may be underlying traumas that, I can't help you without you helping yourself first.
So if they're using their body
Right.
as a way to not deal with what's really going on, they're not even in a position to really start dating yet. So
Not
there
at
is
all.
some therapy that needs to go through before they even get to you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think they need to be self-love.
Mm.
You need to know that you're sure with whatever it is that you have to be able to bring someone else in like that.
We throw that word out, self-love. What is self-love coming from you? Talking to a person like myself or someone else. What is self-love?
So I think self-love is how you feel loved in yourself. So for me, I do a lot of self-love, self-care days, which is sleeping in.
I'm sorry, I messed that up.
I'm so busy with working. My kids are in activities, dance, baseball. So I'm always on the go, right? I do stuff, with my matchmaking company, different things like that. So when I'm able to take some time to just sit down on my bed, Netflix on, cold glass of water, that is my self-love, self-care for me, right? Taking myself to the spa, self-love for me. Buying myself flowers because I love flowers. That's self-love for me. So it's whatever it is that you need to help yourself reset and feel valued and appreciated within yourself. Like, hey, I did this for me today. I've worked hard all week. This is my treat to myself.
And I'm glad you say that because
you don't need nobody else to validate that.
No, you should have it for yourself first. They're just an addition, a bonus.
There you go. And I think that we as women are getting that now, some of us. But I think the men have to do that too for themselves.
Absolutely.
Because they need a reset moment, a reset
Absolutely.
button. Because they don't talk. And then the other, they don't talk until they talk.
Right.
But they carry a lot in. And so they need to have that self because they're looking for you.
You talking about me?
No, baby. And this time
Men in general.
Men in general.
Definitely, I agree. I always, with the dating, it goes into the question of how do you handle stress? Like, what do you do for you?
Yes.
How do you make yourself feel good, right? You done worked hard, you provide for the family. What are you doing to celebrate you?
And it's not about somebody else making you. You have to do. And I think that's the thing that men, we as little boys, they've come here being told, just do it. Be a man. Be strong. Stand up. But no one's telling them it's okay for you to take care of you. And so that's why I was asking you earlier, do you have the same conversation that, since you're an educator, that with your sons that you would have with your daughter? Because it's important. We give our daughters, oh, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And then we tell our son, be strong. And then they walk up and grow up and can't.
Get up off that ground. Stop crying.
I tell my son all of the time, it's okay to cry. And I tell him, out there in the world, they're going to make you feel like you have to be strong all the time. If you feel like you can't cry in front of nobody else, you can always say, Mama, can you come give me a hug so I can cry on your shoulder so can nobody see me?
Right.
I got
For
you.
real.
That is deep right
I
there.
got
That's
you.
deep.
I got you. Well,
I wish I had my mama here. That was, ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, she's gone with glory. She really miss
Aw.
her. But this has been. I hate when I have to get to this time. This has really been a great show.
Mhm.
But we're at that closing hour.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I mean, how fast time goes. And
Yeah.
because we have
Yeah.
another show that comes right up behind. But what I want to do before we end the show, and the way we always end the show, we end the show with allowing the guests to tell us
Mhm.
what your experience was like being on the Love and Victory show and what you want to leave the guests, the listeners with. And then how they can find you, especially you, your service, and then tell us why you chose to bring uh, Kristen in today. So I'm going to start with Kristen.
Okay.
And Kristen, go ahead and tell us your experience on the show and what you like to leave the listeners.
You see how she did that, Christian?
Mhm.
She talked right to Juanita and then
Right.
said,
I was
"What?"
like,
There you go, Kristen.
I did
On the
that-
spot.
Because if I'd have been talking to her, she'd have been getting all worked
Yeah,
up. And
yeah,
see, I done
yeah.
read, I got her now, so I threw her over here. There you go.
Okay. My experience has been very nice. When I first got here, I guess just by nature, I'm kind of like trying to, figure everything out, feel the mood. But I love that everybody made me feel so comfortable. So as time went on, I was able to okay, calm down. We okay, girl. We okay. Relax. And I feel like you read my whole vibe. So that made me feel even more comfortable. So it was just comfortable. I enjoyed the conversation. I felt valued. I felt included. I liked that y'all didn't take over and do all the talking and just. I feel like it was all of us, communicating. So that was good. I loved it.
And what would you leave the listeners with?
If you can say something to the people out there to encourage them or whatever you got.
To encourage you, spend some quiet time alone and figure out yourself. I believe that when I went through the period of figuring out me, who I actually was, what I needed, what I was doing here, what my purpose was, all of that good stuff. When I went through that journey of figuring out me, so many things just started to fall in line and so many things got right. So love on yourself, figure out who you are, and that's the start.
And embrace that individual.
And embrace that.
Okay,
Embrace
well,
that.
I want you to tell the people what this shirt is all about that
Yes,
you're
that's what
wearing.
you were
Who
just
are you?
Passing the Crown. Yes, I also have a podcast, Passing the Crown podcast. My podcast is geared towards mothers with daughters. My daughter is just 10 months old, but growing up, I did not. My mom was there. I love my mom. I love you, mama. She's probably watching this. I love my mom, but I did not have a good, just mother role model telling me things that I just feel like I needed. As I'm growing up, I'm like, ooh, I needed that. So I just created a platform so that as I'm learning things, I can share and connect with other moms and, we can create some queens. So,
All right.
Of course, God led. We're not creating them. God got us. But we're just, planning and working together and all of that.
All right, passing the
And-
crown.
And,
man.
how do
Podcast.
you find Passing the Crown? What platforms are you on?
You can search us on Instagram at Passing the Crown Pod. And then our podcast, you can listen to it on any podcast platform.
Oh, fantastic. Y'all heard that.
There are
now.
specific days that you go live or something like that.
Well, actually, I'm on my off season, so you can go on there right now and catch all of season 1.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right.
Alrighty.
God bless you.
And to this fantastic lady here, tell the people what you want to leave them with, and who you are, and how to find you, and all that good stuff, and your experience.
Absolutely. So my experience on the show has been wonderful. I always love an opportunity to be able to speak about my business and what I've done for people and my point of view on love and soulmates and things like that with relationships. I think it's always great to have that opportunity. So thank you for finding me. And what I would like to leave people with, no matter where you are in life right now and the point that you're at, you will find love. Don't ever give up. And just keep working on you.
Mhm.
You attract the way that you feel, right? So work on you so you can attract what it is that you're
That's
looking
mighty
for.
good there.
You can find me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, I think that's all I have. Okay, yeah. It's Unlocked Hearts Matchmaking. Unlocked Hearts Matchmaking. Just type that in, search it up. You can find me. If you want to book a consultation, you can go to my website, www.unlockedhearts.com. I'm sorry, unlockedheartsmatchmaking.com. You go on there and kind of read through the website, book a consultation. I'll be more than happy to help you with anything that you need.
Tell them to Google you, girl.
You can also Google me. Unlockedheartsmatchmaking.com. My name is Juanita, so I am the sole person behind Unlocked Hearts Matchmaking.
You know, Juanita, I am so grateful that you accepted our invitation to come on this platform and on this show this morning. You have truly, truly blessed me this morning.
Oh, thank you.
And I know that you blessed the listeners. You have such a calm spirit about you.
Yeah.
You know, as it makes it easy
Mm-hmm.
to talk to. So I know that what you're doing is helping bring relationships in. You're matching people up the right way because it all starts with a person working on themselves before they can even get into a relationship.
Absolutely.
So,
oh, and then another reason why I brought my fabulous Christian on, she was the very first person I matched and tested out my matching services with. So I definitely had to, go to the day one and bring her
and how
on.
did you?
And 5 years down the street, she's still there, huh?
Yes, loving it.
It's 7 years,
We've
huh?
been knowing each other for a really long time. Oh, you mean married?
Yeah.
We're married. We married 5 years together, 8.
Yeah.
So did you introduce her to the guy, or how did that happen?
So on my website, I do offer multiple services, matchmaking route, as well as dating profile creation. So we actually met years ago, like about 2008 in college, at the Texas Southern University band, at band camp. Is how we met, and then from there our friendship just grew. So about the time we were both graduating, I think you, because I know you graduated like a few months before me. I think you had just graduated, and I was getting ready to graduate. I was telling her, I was like, hey, she was going through her woes of dating, and I'm like, let me help you out. So I remember creating a profile for her. We were just getting into online dating, was starting to become a thing. It was back in like 2013. All right, so I helped her create this profile. Kind of, she would come to me, tell me about different guys. I'm like, no, that's not what you're looking for. Don't even bother. Nope, I'm trying something different. And then the first few conversations she was having with him, I kind of guided her through that. And then from there, I let her take over, and they went on their first date, and then the rest has been history.
Oh, wow. So see, there is some good, healthy dating that's going on. It's not just doing this situational thing. I thank you all. Before I go, I know we're backed up on time, so I'm going to have to go and wrap it up. I want to, again, thank both of you ladies for coming. And this won't be the last time that you hear these ladies. They don't know, but when we get off, I'm going to talk to them about the podcast. So thank you all so much. I know that you've been a blessing to me. As well as my husband.
Amen.
This conversation is definitely a well-needed conversation because relationships are important. And it's not just being in a relationship to date, being in a relationship and finding your soulmate is important.
Absolutely.
Again, you can find us on Dinah, do you know the platforms where they can find? Let the people know how to find us. Or it's Kelsey. She got it.
Okay,
right,
you can find us on all socials at LV with Val, including our website at lvwithval.com.
Okay, then. Well, that's okay. Thank y'all so much.
Thank y'all for listening. She ain't even give me a chance to say nothing, but that's all right.
All right, we got to get on out of here and wrap it on up. We love you.